Well, it's no question this presidential election hinges on the all-important women voters. And last night, Mitt Romney's wife, Ann, tried to rally women voters to the Republican side at the national convention. One of the big topics this time is abortion, and it was also in the 2008 election. Mitt Romney has said he supports abortion in cases of rape, incest, or if the life of the mother is in jeopardy. Here to weigh in on the constitutionality of this issue is our legal expert, attorney Jay Davis. Jay, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate it. First of all, tell me, what is the law regarding abortion here in the state of Georgia?
Well, Georgia forbids partial birth abortions, and they forbid any abortion after 20 weeks, both of those except certain exceptions.
Now, in my research, I was looking at Planned Parenthood around the state of Georgia. There are multiple sites for Planned Parenthood. A lot of them do, the preterm abortions and whatnot. But how does this issue play into Roe v. Wade, which is the Supreme Court decision? How does that issue tie into today?
Well, there's a lot of people who are trying to overturn Roe versus Wade. It's been settled law since the 70s. There's been several laws, several times where there was a chance of overturning it, and people who are really pro-life want to at least stop it from branching out further. Roe versus Wade restricted to the first trimester, and there's a lot of abortion laws now that have gone way beyond that, so they're actually exceeding Roe versus Wade.
So the late-term abortion and all that stuff, technically, that's not constitutional. That supersedes the Supreme Court's decision?
Well, it's not protected. It doesn't mean it's not going to be deemed legal or that they can't win on that, but it's not protected by the Roe versus Wade. And a later decision was actually almost overturned Roe versus Wade, and Sandra Day O'Connor was the justice that made that not happen. And she said, although I believe it should be, I want the Supreme Court law to stand so that we have faith in the Supreme Court.
Now, based on that decision, Mitt Romney's position on abortion, as we said earlier, is that he supports it if it's in cases of rape, incest, or if the life of the mother is in jeopardy. Is his position constitutional?
Sure. At this point, anything is constitutional. If Roe versus Wade, it's an interpretation. We had a Declaration of Independence that said we're protected for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And this Roe versus Wade chose between life, which is protected for the unborn child, and the liberty of the mother to do what she wants to with her body. So the question of that line so far is not litigated, is not legislated. It's only been determined by a court. So legislature could make that, it would fall within the constitutional bounds.
The problem that you run into, though, is, Mitt Romney has said that he will stop federal funding for organizations like Planned Parenthood. And people on the left have said that this is a so-called war on women, that the GOP is waging this war. A lot of religious groups, though, on both sides oppose abortion just for religious reasons. Is there a problem when it comes to separation of church and state with this issue?
Not really. Not really. The fact that someone has a right to get abortion does not mean that they have a right to be paid for by the government or the government funds. It also doesn't mean that somebody else can be obligated to pay for the abortion or contraception or anything along those lines. So if he chose to not fund those things that he thinks are against his political views, then that would be within his realm to do that.
All right. Well, Jay, it's always an interesting discussion. We appreciate you coming on. And hey, if you have a legal question you want answered, you can send it to us at itsthelaw@41nbc.com, and we're going to answer that right here on the air. So send those questions to us.